skyrocket, and relationships between the police departments and the communities they serve continues to become more tense. Let's bring in Markell Hutchins, CEO of Movement Forward and a police community relations activist, to talk more about this issue. Markell, good morning. How are you?
Good morning. It's good to be with you.
Good to have you here with us. How bad is this problem, Markell?
Well, it is really the most challenging issue that I think our nation faces today at a time when crime and violence is escalating in some of our most vulnerable communities. Law enforcement agencies continue to face a difficult time with retaining the talent that they have and attracting new talent. More law enforcement professionals have left the profession in the last 12 months than any other time in a consecutive 12-month period. So we really have to put a focus and shift the narrative away from the things that divide us to the things that unite us. And that's what I think our nation needs most at this moment.
You notice, Markell, I'm thinking back, the 2020, you had the death of George Floyd, and then you had this huge undercurrent of this negativity towards police departments nationwide. Is that part of this problem?
I think that is a driving factor in what is now a historic shortage in law enforcement after the death of George Floyd and even the police-involved controversies that led up to the protest of the summer of 2020. All of those things combined were a powder keg that have exploded on America's streets. The challenge that law enforcement faces is no one wants to be a police officer now because of all of the animosity, all of the anger, all of the resentment that has been directed and in some instances misdirected at our nation's law enforcement professionals. But the good news is our darkest hours as a nation have always been before the break of a new dawning. We created National Faith in Blue Weekend. The Memphis Police Department and the other law enforcement agencies in Memphis are very much engaged. They want to reach out to the community. So the second weekend in October across Memphis and across the country, law enforcement agencies and communities have an opportunity to come together, to sit together and reason together to figure out a pathway forward to deal with officer shortages, as well as the escalating crime and continuing tensions that face our country.
Markell, 2 years ago, the Defund the Police movement was so, it gained a lot of stature and status. And I'm just wondering how much of those residual effects of this Defund the Police movement is still persistent among cities across the country and, just contributing to this problem.
You know, I have been at the forefront of human and civil rights for the last 25 years. I had the good fortune to be mentored by many of the icons that work very closely with Martin Luther King Jr., including his wife, Mrs. Coretta Scott King. I'm a civil rights, human rights, social justice guy. The notion of defunding the police is the arch enemy of communities of color and of any community. We cannot defund our way to safer streets nor to reduction in officer-involved tragedies. But what we've seen over the last several years has been the amplification of the vocal minority, those who seek to demonize law enforcement, drive wedges between police and communities. But that's a real small number of people. What we have seen is an epic failure in the Defund the Police movement. That was not a movement at all. I think most people in communities from Memphis to everywhere across this country understand that we have to stand in solidarity with our law enforcement professionals. We want to be policed with fairness and justice and equity, but we cannot allow these small few voices to really put forward a message around defunding the police, because that just hurts our communities. And that call for defunding of the police has really detracted and distracted people who might have otherwise chosen careers in law enforcement.
So, Markell, here in Memphis, the Memphis Police Department has been trying all kinds of incentives to boost up the amount of officers within the department, because there is a shortage, and all the city leaders and the police leaders have said, hey, we need to hire hundreds more to get up to the staff where we are comfortable. They've tried all kinds of different hiring bonuses, free relocation options and services, all kinds of different incentives to get people to join the Memphis Police Department. And unfortunately, they're still at a significant deficit. What's it going to take to overcome those deficits?
It's going to take a shift in the narrative that we've heard nationally. We have to be the change that we want to see. There ought to be more young people, more people of color that consider and choose careers in law enforcement. Most people that get into that profession do so for the sake of serving their communities. We need to talk more about that. But police departments will not be able to attract and retain the talent that they want if they have to do the recruiting by themselves. Every faith-based organization in Memphis, you've got some wonderful faith-based organizations there. Every one of them, every community group, every neighborhood, every school, particularly the colleges and universities, should begin collaborating with this Memphis Police Department to figure out a way to get some of the people in those communities to actually join the police force. You have a world-class law enforcement executive in the person of the director or chief, CJ Davis. She's a wonderful leader, but she cannot do it by herself. Every community organization, every faith-based group, every political leader has to come together with Memphis PD and really figure out a pathway forward to get people interested and involved in careers in law enforcement with the police department.
You know, we've heard about that, and that's kind of the rub, Markel, is like getting the faith-based organizations in those communities together in order to help some of the biggest problems in Memphis. I've been a part of this community now for 16 years, and I've seen how important the faith-based community is here, and how important it is to solve those big-time problems and come up with solutions to combat those problems. What's it going to take to really kind of change the idea, change the messaging, change the tone, so that police forces across the country are not only places where you see good, positive things happen, but also organizations that people want to join, that they want to support?
It's going to require a change in posture from community-based organizations, most especially faith-based organizations, away from a protest model to a partnership model. Again, I've been at the forefront of civil rights. I've been jailed many times and led huge protests around police accountability. But at this point, our best march is not on police departments, and especially Memphis, but with our law enforcement agencies. Since the death of George Floyd, we have seen not only a failure of a reduction in officer-involved tragedies, but there's been an increase in officer-involved tragedies, both where officers are taking the lives of people prematurely and where officers are being attacked and assaulted. At the same time, crime and violence is rising. Our posture has to change if we're going to change those things. What I mean by that is we need to look for ways not just to challenge or protest police, but every faith-based organization ought to be looking for a way to partner with law enforcement. And through that partnership, not only can you hold them accountable, but you can support them. And that's what it's going to require. We need a change of posture, a change of narrative, a change of direction. There has never been a movement for positive social change in American history that was not anchored in the faith space. Dr. King gave his life right there in Memphis. He was Reverend Martin Luther King Jr., it was Reverend Ralph David Abernathy, Reverend Fred T. Shuttlesworth, Reverend Billy Kyles. So many great civil rights icons were at the forefront of the civil rights movement because they were faith leaders. We need every church, every single faith-based organization, every single group, not to just challenge the Memphis Police Department, but to collaborate with them, hold them accountable when they're wrong, but when they're right, the vast and overwhelming majority of the time, we have a moral obligation to stand in solidarity with them. And that's what I call upon the Memphis community to do. The police department can't fix itself. They can't fix all the problems by themselves. They need some partners. And that's what those faith-based and community groups should be doing at this moment, this critical moment in history.
You say you are CEO of Movement Forward. Briefly explain what that is and tell us what kind of presence it has here in the Memphis community.
So Movement Forward is a solution-focused human and civil rights organization that's inclusive and modern. We take the best of the civil rights movement principles and move them forward into collaborative space. So it's not just Black versus white. One of the challenges that we've seen over the last several years when it comes to policing that we take a distinctly different posture of or than is we saw too many people in one corner yelling our lives matter, different folks in different corners yelling and screaming different messages. We've never progressed when we separate or segregate ourselves from one another. What we do at Movement Forward is look forward to opportunities to bring communities and law enforcement, communities and governments, communities and corporations together to actually solve problems. Too much of what has become of social justice is adversarial. But whatever it is that we fight, we ultimately invite our principle, the premise of our organization is to bring people together to solve problems. And that's what we're doing in collaboration with the Memphis Police Department. Our anchor signature program is National Faith and Blue Weekend. It's the largest police community outreach project in American history. The Memphis Police Department, Chief Davis and Sergeant Tadero Holmes, and so many other great people there at the Memphis Police Department put together events the second weekend in October that actually bring the law enforcement community and the law and the community at large together. Again, we have to put solutions on the table. The challenges that we face when it comes to crime and trust will not be solved by legislation. They will be resolved by relationship. And that's what we focus on here in our organization is that kind of relational reformation.
Reverend Markell Hutchins, really appreciate everything that you're doing. We certainly are rooting you on and thank you for this interesting discussion. We appreciate all the knowledge. And if someone wants to get some more information about this, where can they go?
They can visit us at movementforward.org, movementforward.org, or specifically around Faith and Blue Weekend. And I cannot emphasize enough that we just will not solve these problems in silos. The police department can't do it by themselves and the community can't do it by ourselves. We need one another. I encourage everybody to visit us at faithandblue.org and follow us on social media at Faith and Blue and follow me at Rev Markell.
Okay, Reverend Markell Hutchins, once again, thanks so much for the time this morning. We appreciate it.
Good to be with you. Thank you.
Andrew Douglas here in the Action News 5 digital desk. According to some brand new data released by SEMrush, over the last 2 years, there has been a huge surge in Americans wanting to turn their passion projects into paychecks, their side hustles into full-time money. And the data reveals that since January 2020, a 421% increase in searches for side hustles to make money. Now, we're about to talk to someone about this very issue, about how she turned her side hustle into a full-time job making six figures. Joining me now is Megan Overholt. And Megan, good morning. How are you?
Good morning. It's Morgan, by the way, Morgan Overholt.
Morgan, I'm so sorry. I appreciate you joining
us. No problem.
So tell me about your story a little bit, because so many people, as you're right, so many people have decided, hey, what can I do as a side hustle to make full-time income?
well, I was actually kind of the lucky one of the lucky ones, to be honest with you. I am no stranger to reinventing myself. Back in 2017, I actually quit my full-time job in the normal corporate world back before it was popular. Essentially, rage quit, had all the fun I could stand, got to do something else. But back then, all I really knew to turn to was freelance, and that was a lot better than what I was doing. Do not get me wrong, but the problem is that freelance is still inherently flawed because it still requires that your butt is in that seat every single day and that you're like on the clock and you have deadlines to meet, you've got clients you need to reply to all the time. And it wasn't quite giving me that freedom that I really craved. I had toyed before with the idea of launching something that could produce real live passive income in addition to my freelance before, but I never really took the leap until the pandemic hit. The pandemic, as a lot of y'all know, was inspiring for reinvention. So while I wasn't a stranger to it, I still was very new to the world, had no idea what I was doing, learned from the best, and here we are today. In fact, last year, our second full year in business, we surpassed 6 million page views on thesmokies.com, which is our travel blog website, and we produced over $200,000 worth of revenue. So it's pretty incredible.
That is incredible, and congratulations to you for doing all of that. I have to admit, I did those searches too, and I heard that blogging is one of those great opportunities out there for people to get started and really kind of turn it into a money-making career. How did you do it? If you had to look at some of the key factors of turning that blog into a six-figure income, how did you do it?
Well, honestly, again, I'm no stranger to figuring out how to reinvent myself and how to launch a successful company. And one of the key things, and I think this applies to every single industry, anything that you want to do in life really, is that you identify the person who's doing the thing that you really want to do, who's doing it successfully, I should add, and you learn what they're doing. And so what we did is we started joining all of these blogging communities online and really looking at people who were already making six-figure, even seven-figure incomes. And we asked, hey, what are you guys doing? And two words kept coming up for us. It was SEO and SEMrush. And at the time I was familiar with what SEO was. I thought it was just kind of like sprinkling in little keywords on your website and hoping for the best, hoping you'll rank on Google. But SEMrush was kind of the missing component because I found out, news to me, that there are real tools you can use online that actually tell you exactly what people are looking for. It tells you what kinds of questions that people are typing into Google on a daily basis. And so our real key to success was figuring out exactly what those questions were and then answering those questions effectively. And the second that we started doing that, our traffic skyrocketed. It was incredible. I think on like month one, went from having maybe a couple hundred hits to just a few months later, I think June of 2020, that same year, like I said, the pandemic year, I think we're about like 300,000, 400,000 hits. It was crazy. And it kept growing from there. So a pretty big deal. Pay attention to what other people are doing and do that thing.
That does sound amazing, and that's great stuff. When it comes to turning when you saw, okay, so you did the SEO, looking for what search items people are looking for. Did you have to write a lot? Because I've always heard that okay, if I'm going to start a blog, I just have to put tons of writing in. I mean, how many hours did you spend in the front end of this project?
Well, here's the really cool thing. So luckily, again, we were some of the lucky ones in the pandemic. We really only had about like a week or two that was kind of slow, which is really when I launched the website in partnership with my sister, Elena, and my husband, James. But after that, our freelance business really picked up and we looked at each other and we're like, hey, look, we got to find time to also work on this website without losing our, at the time, primary income, which was the freelance income. And so we kind of just dedicated one day a week to knocking out as many articles as we possibly could. And we did it that way for an entire year, essentially. Almost an entire year, I didn't have a 2-day weekend. I mean, look, y'all, anything worth having in life is going to take a little bit of hard work. That's what I tell people all day long. Nothing in this life worth having is going to be that easily achievable. So I would say as far as quantifiable hours were concerned, I would say we were each putting in about 8 to 10 hours a week to really get it going. And now as it's been growing, we've been able to really integrate it into our normal work weeks. In fact, it's sort of even taken over for a lot of the freelance that we were doing before. The script is kind of flipped now. Before we were doing like 25% blogging, now it's more like 75% blogging and 25% freelance, which is pretty cool. But the great thing about what we've done is that it did exactly what I set out to do, right? Now, when I take a day off, I'm still making money. Now, when I go on a week vacation, I still get notifications every day that I'm making money. So that passive income, or more accurately, perhaps I should refer to it as semi-passive, because it still requires a lot of work to get it up and going. It's not a set it and forget it type thing, but it's still making me money, even if I step away. And that's really the freedom that I've craved from day one, right? That's the ultimate freedom. What more can you possibly ask for?
So you said 8 to 10 hours a week is generally how much you spent on the blog. When did you start seeing significant income jumps? I mean, did it start at, I don't know, 100, 200, 1,000, 2,000, and then just 1 month or two just jumped from there?
Yeah, like I said before, it was really identifying that correct tool to use. Like, there's a lot of misconceptions out there about what SEO is. Everybody will love to tell you they can get you on the first page of Google. It's just like some kind of magic thing. I thought I knew what SEO was as a freelance graphic designer because my clients asked for it all the time. I thought it was just sprinkling in keywords, but the key was using those 8 to 10 hours that I was talking about earlier effectively, right? Because at one point when we first launched, we were just kind of taking a guess. Like, I always thought the way that you were supposed to do it, or was the way that you were supposed to do it. But after we really started finding the correct tools, and for us, it was SEMrush, and that's kind of one of the industry leading platforms out there if you guys want to look into it. But one of the things that we did was we actually started doing the research, and that showed us specifically what we should be writing. And that's when we really started to see things kind of skyrocket from there, right? So instead of just using those 8 to 10 hours every week that we had to take guesses at what people may or may not like, what Google may or may not like, we were able to really hone in and make sure that this is what people were looking for, make sure this is what people would like, because it turns out the data was really there all along. So for us, it was learning to use that time efficiently and intelligently and making database decisions versus just what we wanted to write about. And that's really when we started to see the results skyrocket. And I would say within a couple of months of adopting that strategy, that's when we really saw things start to take off.
When you first did the blog, Morgan, was it something where you were getting income one way, and then now are you getting income another way? Give me some detail on how it works.
Yeah, absolutely. So that was the other funny thing. When we first launched, we had absolutely no idea how blogs made money. To tell you the truth, probably like most Americans, I thought blogs were something that we had back in the GeoCities days in the 90s or the early 2000s. I had no idea that they were still a thing that was capable of producing income. It was actually my husband, who was one of my partners on the blog, who discovered an ad network called AdThrive and Mediavine, or two different ad networks called AdThrive and Mediavine. It took a few weeks to get accepted into those programs. Today we started out with Mediavine, switched to AdThrive, but there's a variety out there. Those are just two of the top dogs essentially. But once we got there, we were able to really tap into this programmatic ad network, which produced this incredible revenue every single day. So when you go to our website, if you type in thesmokies.com, you're going to see that there's a ton of ads that pop up. And that's kind of what that programmatic ad network is providing us. That's where most of our income has come from. But there's also this wide world of affiliate sales, right? So for instance, we are a travel blog. There's a lot of attractions in the area near the Great Smoky Mountains National Park, like Dollywood and Anakista, and a variety of museums like the Titanic Museum out there that have these programs that you can enter called affiliate programs, where you help them sell a ticket online by like writing a great review about them or saying, hey, look, I highly recommend doing X, Y, and Z in the Smokies. And if people click the link when you suggest to buy a ticket, you get a little tiny kickback. And so we did ads first, we did affiliate marketing second, and going forward, we're actually going to be doubling down on the affiliates, and we hope to release some digital downloads later this year. But there's a variety of different ways that bloggers make money. Those are just kind of a handful of the ones that worked for us very early on. And of course, there's so many more that I feel like we can tap into in the future. So I'm excited to see where this whole thing goes. I think we're just getting started.
That sounds great. I mean, congratulations once again. You're doing such a great job, Morgan. And I think this is helping a lot of people just kind of understand how it works. A couple more questions here. So, um, how much did it? How much do you make now? If you don't mind me asking, how much does the blog make now on a monthly basis? And then how much did it, initially start? Because you didn't start right away making six figures. It was a gradual increase. Tell me about that.
Yeah, I mean, the funny thing is, I remember we made our first $6 within about a month of launching the actual blog site, and we were jumping up and down in the living room like it was the most important $6 we had ever made in our life. A couple months later, the first month, and that was an affiliate sale. A couple months later, the first month after we launched on an ad network, I believe our first month's earnings were something like $400 or $500, if memory serves correctly. Fast forward to today, I believe our largest month to date, and of course it varies as we are a seasonal travel blog. The Smokies are a little bit less trafficked in like January and February. We peak in the summer and into the winter, but our highest month so far has been around $36,000 in that month. So yeah, that kind of shows you what's possible. And we suspect we're going to be hitting closer to 50,000, maybe even $60,000 by this December. So yeah, like I said, we're just getting started.
Wow.
To go from zero hits in the first month, essentially, to I believe in our first full year, we passed almost hit 2 million. And then in our second full year to pass 6 million. I mean, I ain't gonna lie, I'm kind of hoping that we'll start to see that 10 million digit roll in as far as page views are concerned, hopefully in 2022. We'll see. We'll at least get close.
And it's just focusing on the East Tennessee Smokies area, or are you venturing from that?
Yes, sir. For the most part, of course, the Smokies, the Smokies and the Blue Ridge Mountains were all kind of intertwined, as you know, in East Tennessee and Western North Carolina. So we sort of cover those areas a little bit. Every once in a while, we talk about Tennessee as a state, but our primary market, we've also done a few stories on Memphis, but our primary market is the Great Smoky Mountains National Park and the surrounding areas, the attractions, etc. That was also a model that we had never really seen anybody else do before. So that was a bit of a gamble, to be perfectly honest with you. We didn't really know that a regional travel blog would work. All you ever hear about are, travel bloggers that go all over the world and explore. But to us, we kind of learned that regional travel was even better, even I dare say easier. I don't want to use that word. It's been a lot of hard work, but I dare say easier because we get to target this one area that we know and we love. I grew up in East Tennessee. My husband grew up in East Tennessee. My little sister obviously grew up in East Tennessee. So this is an area that we're intimately familiar with. This is an area that we spent our childhood in. I mean, y'all, if you could have told me when I was like 6 that one day I would make money going to Dollywood, I'd have been like, what? It's not even my dream, and I've essentially turned that dream into a reality. So it's pretty cool.
That is cool. All right. So are there other blogs that you look at and really kind of like or maybe take some ideas from? I mean, are there other ones that you kind of emulate maybe and kind of say, they really taught me a lot of things?
That's one of the tools I was talking about earlier when I talk about SEO. The tool that I mentioned earlier, SEMrush, will actually show you competitive data. And we certainly integrate that competitive data and fill in gaps that our competitors are not addressing, fill in questions that our competitors are not answering. In fact, our main competitors now are actually some of the city and locally run websites. And I believe it was last month, we even started surpassing some of those city run websites who have entire staffs. I think over 40, 50 people, I believe, for the top website working on those. So to bring in more traffic than even them, it's pretty impressive. But to be honest with you, if I were to give you a second giant piece of advice, which is applicable to both blogging and life, is to worry less about what your competitors are doing and worry more about what they're not doing, right? We never seek to copy anybody. I've never been a copycat of anybody. I want to know I want to know how they're finding success. I want to know the strategies and the tools that they're using and explore those on my own. But I think it's really important to be the red tree in the forest, to be the standout, to do something unusual. Because if you're just a copycat, all you're going to be is a cheap clone at the end of the day.
Very nice, very nice. There are a lot of people taking notes in this newsroom, just hearing you talk right now. And I'm sure when people watch this on in a taped interview later on our website, they're going to be wanting to share this as well. When someone is looking at starting a blog, I don't know, can you give like maybe the top 3 things that they need to do right off the bat when they want to start and say, I want to do just what Morgan is doing? You know, a lot of people like to say, write what you know. Is that one of those things? Did you always like to travel?
Oh yeah, I've always loved to travel, but to me, it's a little bit, there's 2 different components to it. A lot of people say follow your passion, and I say that's great. Follow your passion, but make sure you can make money with that passion, right? We've got a lot of passion. There's several hobbies I have that I'm not very good at, right? I don't think I should probably start a blog on those. There's a lot. I love watching Netflix for a living. You know, there's probably a way to make money doing that, but the thing is that we found a part of our passion. We found one of our passion projects that we knew there was a big audience for. And so that's the piece of advice I would give you there as far as following your passion. Follow your passion, but make sure it makes money. As far as the 3 pieces of advice I would give to brand new bloggers would be as follows. Don't get lost in the details. Launch a simple website. It doesn't have to be the prettiest thing you've ever seen. Just make sure it's a simple theme. Make sure it's fast. That's what's more important because people want to make sure it's loading really quickly without any kind of delays. The second thing I would say is, yes, get comfortable with writing and get comfortable using those tools that I talked about, because that was the real difference maker for us. Before, we were just sort of, when we first launched, writing whatever we thought we should write about because we had no data to go on, formatting it however we wanted to format it because we didn't know any better. So research those tools that will really give you those guidelines to show you exactly how to write, will actually give you a score on your writing and predict with almost 90% certainty exactly where you're going to rank on Google, which is pretty awesome. And then 3, make sure you turn that traffic into dollars. That's of course what you got to do at the end of the day. So research those ad networks that I mentioned earlier, research those affiliate programs, can think about what kind of digital downloads that you can sell. Those are 3 of the most popular ways. Courses, if you're doing something more on the business side, those are also very popular right now, online courses. So yeah, those are probably the 3 things that I would recommend. Don't get lost in the details, build a simple website, learn how to write articles that Google will love and that your readers will love, and then figure out how to make the money, honey.
Sorry, Morgan. Listen, I really appreciate everything you've said. It's a great conversation. I found it very interesting. Congratulations on your success. And I really think a lot of your tips have really helped other would-be bloggers out there. So appreciate the conversation very much. Thank you.
Thank you so much for having me, Andrew. I appreciate it.
Thanks for joining us here on the Action News 5 Digital Desk this morning. Of course, the strong winds have started to blow not out of the south and west, now out of the north and west, and that's going to usher in the colder air. And you've definitely noticed a difference between this morning into this latter portion of the morning, and throughout the course of the day, that's going to be part of the story. Wind gusts anywhere from 30 to 40 miles per hour. And that will be the continuing story as the winds, again, out of the north and northwest, that will eventually start to die down as we get towards the late afternoon hours. But needless to say, my friends, be prepared for the chilly air that's going to come along with those northerly breezes. Temperatures working their way from the morning 70s. We were in the 70s this morning. hovering in the 40s through the remainder of the day. Rain chances pretty much coming to an end pretty quickly outside of an isolated shower here between, say, 8 and 9 o'clock in the morning. Will turn dry during the back end of the day. Keep in mind that with those winds pretty aggressive throughout the course of the day, it's going to feel even colder, so you're going to need a jacket for you as you're stepping out the door this morning or out and about this afternoon. Wind chills will likely be in the 30s in some instances. Now, we're not completely done with the rain just yet. We actually have another system that's going to come down the pipeline. So this is our morning system on Wednesday. Nothing really going on between now and Thursday evening outside of maybe a shower or two. A couple of showers will start to move in after about 8 or 9 o'clock in the evening on Thursday, continuing into early Friday morning. That will bring us our next wave of rain. It's an area of low pressure coming up out of the Rio Grande Valley. They'll bring us a better chance for rain for that. So our first alert futurecast showing our thin band of showers and storms, gusty band of downpours moving eastward, moving out into northern Alabama, middle Tennessee. Colder air continues to sink southward, hovering in the 40s through the course of the day. We might see a peak or two of sun late today, but expect more clouds tonight, and the clouds likely to hang tough throughout the course of the next couple of days. Starting off tomorrow morning, deep in the freezer. We haven't been down near freezing for a while. We'll get close to it as we start off on your Thursday. Lots of clouds throughout the day, maybe an isolated shower sneaking in for a couple folks in north central Mississippi, east central Arkansas, as we head towards Thursday afternoon with temperatures in the lower 50s. Here come our opportunities for a couple of passing light rain showers moving in and out fairly quickly. Most of the rain coming to an end through the morning hours. The clouds hang on tough, middle to upper 50s expected for your Friday, and eventually the clouds will start to clear out and sunshine will return heading towards the upcoming weekend. And a rebound in temperatures, the roller coaster ride of the dip in temperatures feeling more like winter here the next few days, come back to spring-like feels by Saturday as well as Sunday, with highs near 70 on Saturday, middle 70s potentially by Sunday. There's another system that comes down the pipeline, though, as we head towards your Monday. That could bring us another wave of showers and storms late Monday into Tuesday, something we'll be keeping an eye on here in the next couple of days. I think there's going to be some adjustments on the timing of that system. And I think in general, the pattern going into the first week of March likely to be pretty active with several waves of showers and storms to contend with, an unsettled pattern, if you will, over that time frame. We're trying to claw our way out of this unsettled pattern. After several days here of the warm winds blowing in here, it's now a cold wind blowing in across the area as temperatures hover in the 40s for the remainder of the day. We go for highs in the low 50s for your Thursday, mostly cloudy skies. There might be an isolated shower, better rain chances overnight Thursday into Friday. Get most of the rain out of here by about 8 or 9 o'clock in the morning on Friday, and then some sunshine breaks back by the time we head towards the weekend, and highs creeping back up into the spring-like levels, at least for the weekend start of next week. We'll keep an eye out on Monday into Tuesday with the next system coming down the pipeline. Of course, you can always see what's going on in the palm of your hand using the Action News 5 First Alert Weather app. Download it in the Google Play Store and the Apple App Store.
Let's talk about traumatic brain injuries for a moment. There are so many different kinds, and at Regional One Health, they see people with traumatic brain injuries, all different facets of it, and they treat them right there at the hospital. Let's bring in someone who knows a little bit more about the treatment that happens there at Regional One Health. I'm joined right now by Asia Burks. She is the coordinator for traumatic brain injuries at Regional One. Asia, good morning to you. Let's talk a little bit about traumatic brain injuries and what types that are out there that Regional One treats. Good morning.
Good morning. Thank you for having me on today. And the different type of traumatic brain injuries that we do treat, there's 3 different kinds. There's the first one, the concussion or mild TBI. There's moderate and there's severe. That first one is generally not life-threatening, and it has symptoms of brief loss of consciousness, vomiting, being lethargic, and memory loss. And the moderate is a loss of consciousness for up to 24 hours, where that's severe is a loss of consciousness for more than 24 hours.
How many patients do you treat with traumatic brain injuries in a given year, Asia?
Yes, last year we treated about a little over 1,000 TBI patients.
What considers a traumatic brain injury? Is there like a definition out there?
Yes. So a traumatic brain injury or a TBI is a blow or jolt to the head that disrupts that normal function of the brain.
Okay, and what are some of the best practices to protect yourself and your loved ones from having one?
Yes, so in order to protect yourself from getting a TBI, we do suggest wearing a helmet when biking or doing any type of outdoor recreational activities. Follow safe driving protocols. Be sure to follow the speed limit, as well as wearing your seatbelt and taking precautions to avoid falls around the home.
You know, I would think there'd be a lot of sports injuries out there with some of our youth that are very active in all kinds of different sports. Is that something that's pretty common?
Yes, so that's actually one of the two top leading reasons for brain injuries. It's a fall and also motor vehicle, and that also causes recreational activities like football, soccer, any type of jolt or impact to the head.
Okay, so traumatic brain injury awareness, what is that and what do you want people to know about it that they may not already know?
Yes. So, in regards to that, it's just making sure that you protect yourself. We know that life is definitely unpredictable and things go on. But with my position here as coordinator, my top things is to identify the needs and developing goals for individuals with TBI and developing and maintaining information on community resources. So if there's anything in regards to legal, financial, therapy, ongoing support sessions, we're here to support that.
Is there a place that people can go to online to learn more about not just traumatic brain injuries, but also the kind of help that patients can receive and perhaps if anyone has any questions?
Yes, we have a state website as well as Brain Links. And also the hospital here does provide programs to the community, and those are the fall prevention that we provide, distracted driving and violence prevention, hospital violence and intervention program. And if you have any type of questions or any needs, you can contact trauma outreach at regional1health.org.
Okay, Asia Burks with Regional One, thank you so much for giving us the scoop, the 411 on brain injury and specifically traumatic brain injuries. Thank you very much. Good morning. Welcome back to the Action News 5 Digital Desk. We always like to check in with our friends at Google to see what kind of search trends we saw on any given month. Of course, it's towards the end of February right now. We want to look and see what we searched as a country. And certainly it is interesting to see where things are. We're joined now by Justin Burr, Google Trends expert, to see where we are at the month of February. And Justin, good morning. It looks like a lot of things that were in the news, in entertainment, no matter what the topic. It looks like Taylor Swift certainly made the headlines in more ways than one. Good morning.
Absolutely, yeah. February, a short month, but a lot of stuff going on. We had the Grammy Awards. So Taylor Swift trending for her musical talent there. She announced a new album, Tortured Poets Department. And so there was big search interest around that. Obviously, we had the Super Bowl. She was also a part of that. So Taylor Swift trending in a lot of categories, a lot of stuff going on in February.
Yeah, the Super Bowl, Valentine's Day, and I guess the Lunar New Year traditions. That was kind of interesting. And then I see, I always like seeing what people in our area searched. Any idea? It looks like Tennessee. What did they search for before Valentine's Day?
Yeah, before Valentine's Day. So there's a few things going on. Let's talk a little bit broader here. So Lunar New Year, which you just mentioned. So in Tennessee, people were searching for red envelopes above decorations and above parade. And then if you also look at some of the trends around Black History Month, in Tennessee, people were searching for Black-owned wine above all other products within Black History Month as well, which is a fun one. For Valentine's Day, the most searched date activity for you all was relaxation. So people in Tennessee were trying to gift relaxation to their loved one here on Valentine's Day.
That's a great idea. And it's funny, our meteorologist, Justin, he said Valentine's Day is more like Singles Awareness Day with the acronym SAD. And and he mentioned, and it's so funny that I have, odd news. I always look at the odd news category to just see what people are searching. Give us some insight on that.
Yeah, so you mentioned Single Awareness Day, SAD. Also in that category, credit score dating app. That search interest rose by over 600%. And that is literally a dating app that will match people based on their credit score, which is pretty funny. So that was an interesting one. Also, the Curacao and the Cayman Islands were trending as the top solo travel destinations for February. And then also best meal kit for singles. So a lot of single search interest here in February to maybe counteract all the Valentine's Day search interest.
I love it. I've done an interview before, Justin, where this one singles person, he talked about how a credit score is very attractive, a high credit score, obviously. I notice I'm a big sports fan. NBA All-Star Weekend, all kinds of searches coming out of that, huh?
Yeah, NBA All-Star Weekend was great. There was a lot of search interest because Stephen Curry was going against a three-point contest against WNBA superstar Sabrina Ionescu, which was awesome. So a ton of search interest around that, and there was a lot of states that were searching more so for Sabrina over Steph. Steph won by 3 points. So there was a lot of search interest there. It's always a fun weekend to watch the NBA guys, but I think the most fun for me was watching that three-point contest between the WNBA and the NBA.
I'm a sucker for that, too. I love the three-point contest. Anything else? I see something about, is tea good for headaches? Is tea good for working out? Diverticulitis? What's going on there, Justin?
Yeah, there was a lot of tea interest. U.S. search interest around tea reached an all-time high in February, so that's interesting. Also, in the kind of morning drink game, latte perfume. That increased by 2,500% search interest around that. So people trying to smell like lattes, they're trying to drink lattes. I don't know, but somehow February was a big latte perfume month.
Love is in the air, right? Whether you're drinking coffee, whether you're drinking teas, certainly the case. Justin Burr, really appreciate you guys breaking it down for us. All the trends across the country and across the world with Google. Justin, thanks.
Great, thanks so much.
All right, another live look from our high five camera there outside the University of Memphis. 49 degrees, 9:05 is the time. We're back in 60 seconds.
Thanks for joining us here on the Action News 5 digital desk this morning. Of course, the strong winds have started to blow not out of the south and west, now out of the north and west, and that's going to usher in the colder air. And you've definitely noticed a difference between this morning into this latter portion of the morning and throughout the course of the day. That's going to be part of the story. Wind gusts anywhere from 30 to 40 miles per hour. And that will be the continuing story as the winds, again, out of the north and northwest, that will eventually start to die down as we get towards the late afternoon hours. But needless to say, my friends, be prepared for the chilly air that's going to come along with those northerly breezes. Temperatures working their way from the morning 70s. We were in the 70s this morning, hovering in the 40s for the remainder of the day. Rain chances pretty much coming to an end pretty quickly outside of an isolated shower here between, say, 8 and 9 o'clock in the morning. Will turn dry during the back end of the day. Keep in mind that with those winds pretty aggressive throughout the course of the day, it's going to feel even colder, so you're going to need a jacket for you as you're stepping out the door this morning or out and about this afternoon. Wind chills will likely be in the 30s in some instances. Now, we're not completely done with the rain just yet. We actually have another system that's going to come down the pipeline. So this is our morning system on Wednesday. Nothing really going on between now and Thursday evening outside of maybe a shower or two. A couple of showers will start to move in after about 8 or 9 o'clock in the evening on Thursday, continuing into early Friday morning. That will bring us our next wave of rain. It's an area of low pressure coming up out of the Rio Grande Valley. That'll bring us a better chance for rain for that. So our first solar futurecast showing our thin band of showers and storms, gusty band of downpours moving eastward, moving out into northern Alabama, middle Tennessee. Colder air continues to sink southward, hovering in the 40s through the course of the day. We might see a peak or two of sun late today, but expect more clouds tonight, and the clouds likely to hang tough throughout the course of the next couple of days. Starting off tomorrow morning, deep in the freezer. We haven't been down near freezing for a while. We'll get close to it as we start off on your Thursday. Lots of clouds throughout the day, maybe an isolated shower sneaking in for a couple folks in north central Mississippi, east central Arkansas, as we head towards Thursday afternoon with temperatures in the lower 50s. Here come our opportunities for a couple of passing light rain showers moving in and out fairly quickly. Most of the rain coming to an end through the morning hours. The clouds hang on tough, middle to upper 50s expected for your Friday, and eventually the clouds will start to clear out and sunshine will return heading towards the upcoming weekend. And a rebound in temperatures, the roller coaster ride of the dip in temperatures feeling more like winter here the next few days, come back to spring-like feels by Saturday as well as Sunday, with highs near 70 on Saturday, middle 70s potentially by Sunday. There's another system that comes down the pipeline, though, as we head towards your Monday. That could bring us another wave of showers and storms late Monday into Tuesday, something we'll be keeping an eye on here in the next couple of days. I think there's going to be some adjustments on the timing of that system. And I think in general, the pattern going into the first week of March likely to be pretty active with several waves of showers and storms to contend with, an unsettled pattern, if you will, over that time frame. We're trying to claw our way out of this unsettled pattern. After several days here of the warm winds blowing in here, it's now a cold wind blowing in across the area as temperatures hover in the 40s for the remainder of the day. We go for highs in the low 50s for your Thursday, mostly cloudy skies. There might be an isolated shower, better rain chances overnight Thursday into Friday. Get most of the rain out of here by about 8 or 9 o'clock in the morning on Friday, and then some sunshine breaks back by the time we head towards the weekend, and highs creeping back up into the spring-like levels, at least for the weekend start of next week. We'll keep an eye out on Monday into Tuesday with the next system coming down the pipeline. Of course, you can always see what's going on in the palm of your hand using the Action News 5 First Alert Weather app. Download it in the Google Play Store and the Apple App Store.
The new year always feels like a fresh start with the promises of a new you, right? Someone with better habits, better intentions. But as we set those goals last month, well, life gets in the way of the progress. And certainly this is true when it comes to our financial fitness. I'm joined now by someone to get us on track once again when it comes to our financial health. Joining me now is Natalie Torres Haddad. She is a financial expert. She's going to get us on the right track when it comes to our financial health in the new year. Natalie, good morning. Where do we start with this? Good morning.
Good morning. Yes. Starting today, right? Setting a game plan. What does your financial situation look like now, and seeing what it is that you want to do to make the right money moves for 2024. So not avoiding your finances like you might have throughout the year. Tax season is basically the time that you're forced to face them, and having that mindset, guess what? You'll be able to make the right money moves as you move forward.
So tax season, we know it's officially here. What are some common mistakes that we should avoid when we're doing our taxes this year?
Yeah, some common mistakes can result from not being organized or properly filing your taxes, right? So maybe you're leaving thousands of dollars on the table by not including those tax write-offs, those deductions, or life-changing things that have happened in your life. Maybe you got married or had a baby. All of these areas can bring you a bigger tax return. So who doesn't want that, right? And this is when I tell people, consider setting up a direct deposit as well. So if you're working with a partner like Chime, then guess what? You can actually get your return 6 days earlier. And that can make a world of a difference, especially if you're trying to reach those financial goals or paying off some debts as well.
Natalie, how do we use this time of year, tax season, getting our financial orders straight and organized? How do we use this time of year to better our fiscal health?
Well, I'm going to advise use it wisely and invest in yourself. And I understand sometimes people see it as free money, so they end up spending things that they don't really need or bring value to your life. So, asking yourself that question, what is that you want to see change for 2024? And understanding creating a game plan is going to help you. And if you are getting that tax return, like, why not use that supplemental money to, fund your emergency fund or pay off some debt, right? The credit card bill. Or maybe your goal is to increase your credit history for 2024. Why not do that, right? And with the secure card, that actually is going to really help you, right? And Chime does have a credit builder credit card that's really going to help you be able to reach those goals a lot quicker. So I highly recommend investing in yourself, and why not have that game plan in place?
So where do most people make the biggest mistakes when it comes to trying to better their finances?
Yes, the biggest mistakes, like I said, is sometimes just not, filing properly, but also not having everything in one place. So I always say, if you're going to be organized, have a designated folder, right? Having all your documents, your W-2, your 1099, all of those paperwork together before you actually submit your paperwork, and filing it on time, right? So making sure you don't miss that deadline. And I think sometimes those little mistakes can really cost in the end. And so if you're not having a direct deposit linked up, like right to your checking account to get that federal tax return, you're missing out on a, valuable time that you could be using that money to invest wisely.
What else can we talk about, Natalie, to get our finances in order in the new year?
Yeah, make it less, like I say, less stressful, more enjoyable. So, it can be an overwhelming feeling when you're dealing with your taxes. And so if you put something like in place, I say it's my spa day, but it's really like including a candle, having your tea, having some relaxing music to make the process a lot more enjoyable. And also, like I said, be patient with yourself, because it's not something that, overnight, all of a sudden you're great with your finances, but having the right partners in place, making sure you're keeping accountable for meeting that deadline, and making sure that everything is where it should be before you submit that paperwork can, go a long way for you. Less stress more than anything.
Yes, we need less stress in our lives for sure. Natalie Torres Haddad, we appreciate you coming on the digital desk and talking about ways to help and better our financial health. Thanks very much. there is a study out there that says 57% of Americans have some sort of anxiety or they lose sleep over thinking about their credit score. And we all know that a poor credit score can affect so many aspects of our life these days. It doesn't just mean, you can't get a certain credit card. I mean, we're talking about high interest rates, insurance premiums, the lower likelihood of getting hired for certain jobs, difficulty renting an apartment, and so much more. It's really a concern out there for so many people. They're losing sleep over it. They're affecting their well-being and health. And let's bring in a financial expert to talk more about this. Radhika Duggal is joining us here. Good morning. How are you?
Good morning. I'm doing well. Thank you. How are you?
I'm doing well. I'm not losing sleep. I feel like I got a good credit score, but the majority, it's amazing here. The majority of Americans, more than 50%, 57 in this study. Does that surprise you? Why do you think that number is so high, Radhika?
It absolutely surprises me. I have read quite a number of studies over the years around personal finance and credit, and this is the first time I have seen this problem framed as a mental health issue and really, to your point, a mental health crisis. And what I really worry about and what I believe drives this is the fact that people don't have access to credit. And that's a problem that we at Super are laser focused on solving.
So tell me more about that. People don't have access or equity when it comes to credit and improving their credit scores. Tell me a little bit more. Let's dive in.
It's difficult for an everyday American to simply get their foot into the door of the credit system. Our most recent research indicated that 66% of underserved Americans actually have been denied credit. Oftentimes, by the way, that denial came when they need it most, and what it leads to is feelings of extreme financial instability. So if you take feelings of instability, feelings of anxiety, suddenly we're talking about a mental health and an emotional problem rather than just a simple functional problem.
So, Radhika, how do we resolve this problem? Certainly, it looks like, based upon what I'm reading here in this study, it looks like there is a need for fair access to credit and equity building opportunities out there for underserved communities. How do we fix this?
The good news is that there are ways to fix this. Now, I'd offer 3 potential things to do. First, understand the system. Really understand what is a credit score, what drives a credit score. And there's so much literature online that's available to help us do so. The second is understand your own score. Check it frequently, understand what moves it in one direction or another. And the third is try new ways to build your credit. We at Super have just launched a product called Super Cash, and it is essentially a card that acts like a debit card but has the benefits of a credit card. You do not need access, you do not need credit to actually build credit with this card. It comes with no monthly service fee, no credit check, no minimums. And the best part is, I mentioned before, it has the rewards of a credit card. It comes with up to 10% cash back every time you use the card. So there absolutely are solutions to solving this problem if you're trying to build your credit up from scratch.
Fascinating. So we've mentioned a couple of different aspects to this study. 57% of Americans have anxiety or lose sleep over their credit score. What else really of note came out of this new research?
Yeah, there were a couple of things that were really important that came out. Now, first and foremost, 70% of consumers that took this survey said that they experienced financial instability when they were denied credit. 70%. And that same number, also 70%, said, hey, if I could just improve my credit score a little bit, they said a small increase in their credit score or more access to credit would actually enable them to better their lives significantly. What this report does is it really helps us to understand the problem at hand. And then now what we need to do as a community is band together. We need to start talking about this problem. The more we talk about it, the less anxiety as people we're going to feel. But then as business owners and folks working on this problem, we've got to band together to really put forth equitable solutions.
All right, so let's talk about options for those who are typically challenged here with having access to credit and building equity.
Yeah, so that primary option that I mentioned before is a great place to start. Super Cash is a way to get access to credit without having your credit checked. What that means is you don't have to have a high credit score to qualify for the product. With Super Cash, you can actually put a small amount of money on the card and use that money to build up credit. And unlike other cards like it, you do not have to put $500, $600 as a minimum. There are no minimums. You can put $10 or $20 on the card, and each time you use it at the end of the month, we report those transactions and your on-time payment to the credit bureaus so that you're able to build credit.
Okay, good stuff there. Radhika, where can we go for more information?
To learn more, visit super.com/cash.
Good morning, everyone. Andrew Douglas here in the Action News 5 Digital Desk. We all know that age is just a number, right? But for millions of older Americans, particularly those in their 50s, 60s, and 70s, if you are looking for a job, the landscape is very difficult and very challenging. Not only are some of those candidates looking for a job, but they face age bias and discrimination. Older workers, of course, bring all kinds of expertise, maturity, perspective, yet they are often overlooked. Let's talk about this issue with Carly Rozowski. She is with AARP, joining us on the digital desk this morning. Carly, how bad is it for some of those older Americans in their 50s, 60s, and 70s if they need a job? Good morning.
Good morning. Well, many older workers 50 plus do feel that age discrimination can hurt their chances of getting a new job or advancing in their career. New AARP research shows that 64% of workers 50 and older feel and believe they've been discriminated against based on age in the workplace today.
You know, I hate to hear that because more and more people are living longer. They're living better lives, longer and healthier quality of life lives as well. You know, 50 now versus 50, 30, 40 years ago is a far different age bracket and how people are moving around and getting along and the kind of lifestyle they have. Do you have tips for maybe some of those job seekers of older Americans to kind of age-proof their resume?
Sure. We want older workers' resume to reflect the skills and experience they bring and not their age. So we recommend your resume is 2 pages or less. We make sure that the most relevant and recent experience is highlighted. And while you want to include your credentials, you don't have to include your graduation dates. Don't include your street address. And if you're hanging on to an old AOL or Hotmail email account, switch to a more modern service like Gmail. And one best practice that not only older job seekers, but job seekers of any age could benefit from is to bot-proof your resume. So organizations are using bots or these AI-powered tools to do an initial screening to eliminate candidates before they're even seen by an actual person. So in order to get past that initial screening, you want to use industry-specific terms or specific keywords from the job listings that you're interested in.
Do you have examples for us?
Well, terms like digital, terms like and skills, good communications. Digital native is actually a term we stay away from because older workers tend to not feel that they could apply for a job that describes someone that they're looking for as digital native. But digital skills or skills that they've acquired throughout their career, like good communication, leadership, mentoring, some of those soft skills that older workers tend to bring to the job force are ones that you want to highlight.
Has there been a shift, Carly? Maybe more companies wanting to hire older workers out there? Are there certain initiatives that employers are putting in place for that? Tell me more.
Yeah, so here at AARP, we have an initiative called our Employer Pledge Program that recognizes older experienced workers. And thousands of organizations have signed the pledge since it started in 2012, with almost 500 signing just last year alone. And given employers' need for talent, especially in this tight labor market, it does make good business sense to hire experienced workers. Research also shows that 77% of all workers value their older colleagues for the skills and experience that they're bringing to the job.
That's great news. Great news to hear about that. Can we talk about networking for a lot of those older Americans looking for a job?
Yes, networking is key to a job search. So in conversations with friends or family members, coworkers or former coworkers, make sure to let them know that you're looking for new job opportunities and get their advice or their suggestions. Also, if you're not on LinkedIn, now's a good time to join. You can stand out to employers by making sure you include a profile photo and filling out the skills section. LinkedIn members that have 5 skills listed are 27 times more likely to be discovered by recruiters. They also have groups you can join that provide both virtual and in-person networking opportunities.
Tell me what the landscape is like for older Americans. I mean, I know you just mentioned that companies are hiring older folks here and there. Is it good for them? Is it a good market for them? I know we mentioned off the top that there's some age bias and some age discrimination for some of them out there.
Yeah, it's a very strong labor market and unemployment is at historic lows. But we did ask people over 50 earlier this year if they were looking to make a shift in their job in 2024, and about 14% said yes. And making more money was the main reason, but also wanting to feel valued and looking for more flexible work arrangements. 86% of them did feel confident that they could make a change in 2024. So I believe it's still a positive environment out there for job seekers.
This has been a great conversation, Carly. I appreciate it. Tell us about some free resources that AARP has for older Americans that are looking for work, that are looking for a new job.
Throughout the month of February, AARP is doing free virtual workshops. And you can register today for a day and time that works best for your schedule at aarp.org/jobsnational.
Okay, Carly Rozowski with AARP, we really appreciate the conversation with you and the tips for all those people looking for a job, 50s and beyond. Thanks so very much.
Welcome back to the Digital Desk. The time now is 9:31, and today we are talking healthcare free, a free health program coming up in March. And joining me this morning to speak with me about this free health program is our friend Sheila Easterling Smith. Sheila, good morning to you.
Good morning to you.
Good. Let's jump right into it. We're talking about the My Sister's Keeper Annual Summit. Tell me a little bit about what that is.
Okay, great. This is our 6th year of doing My Sister's Keeper, and it is an initiative that Methodist Healthcare started to empower Black women around health disparities. Even though we make up 30% of the subpopulation of Shelby County, we are rarely included in a lot of things dealing with health. So this program allows Black women to come together to learn about health disparities, to find some interesting outcomes, and to fellowship with one another.
Oh, I love that. Tell me a little bit about some of the issues that this summit will address and some of the programs that you guys have lined up for it.
Okay, great. We're going to concentrate specifically on cardiac care and cancer. And so the theme for this year's summit is navigating health disparities and access to care for African American women. And so we found when we did the community health needs assessment that cardiac care was at the top of the list. That was one of the things that we needed to address. So we're going to be dealing with cardiac care. We're going to talk a little bit about COVID. We're going to talk about cancer. There will be people there who will give their testimonies about this. We will have doctors there to answer questions and just pretty much give you all the information you need to better take care of yourself.
Very informative. Now tell me, this is the 6th year for it. So will there be anything different this year from previous years?
Yes, we change topics each year, so we don't do the same topic each year. We also have music, and again, it's a time of fellowship. It was created so that women could have a safe space to talk about their health issues. Often, as Black women, we are so involved with care for everyone else that we sometimes neglect our own care. So this initiative, this summit, which will be March the 9th at 10 a.m., and you can register online. It is free. You're going to go to msksummit2024.eventbrite.com. And so people can come. You will be able to ask questions online. But most importantly, you're going to get a lot of information on how to better care for yourself.
Love that. And let me ask you this. Is this just for women or is this for the entire community?
Well, men can come too. We're not going to discriminate. Men can come too. It is designed for women because we are the ones with these particular issues. And often, even some of us who have insurance, we don't go to the doctor as often as we should. So we're trying to empower women, but it is open to men. You know, men can come and learn about some of the struggles that we deal with and hear about cardiac issues, hear about different things that we go through, such as a heart attack in a woman is going to present differently than in a man. So all are welcome to come and hear what we have to say. It's going to be a wonderful program and you will be blessed. And again, it's msksummit2024.eventbrite.com, March the 9th at 10 a.m.
Okay, I love that. Now tell me, is there a deadline for when you need to register?
We really would like people to register by Friday night so that we can get all the information in, but you can go in on the website anytime. You can register day or night and come on and join us and learn more about African American women and health disparities and the things that stop us from getting the care that we deserve.
Love that. Thank you so much for speaking with me, Sheila. Is there anything else that you want to add that I did not ask you today?
Yeah, I want to add that we're going to have some wonderful music too. We're going to have a saxophonist, Aisha DeBose is going to be there, and it's going to be fun too. So while we are getting information, we are taking notes, we're going to have doctors there. There will be some fun in it as well. So I want to say that. And also, I want to encourage women to take time for yourself. Take time to go to your doctor, make sure you keep all of your appointments, and give yourself priority sometimes.
All right, free and music, you can't beat that. Sheila, thanks so much for joining us on the Digital Desk. Looking forward to that event in March. I'll see you soon.
All right. Thank you for having me.
Anytime, Sheila. You're getting a live look outside through our high five cameras there. Things are nice and dry for now. Stay with us. We'll be back in the next 60 seconds.
Thanks for joining us here on the Action News 5 Digital Desk this morning. Of course, the strong winds have started to blow not out of the south and west, now out of the north and west, and that's going to usher in the colder air. And you've definitely noticed a difference between this morning into this latter portion of the morning and throughout the course of the day. That's going to be part of the story. Wind gusts anywhere from 30 to 40 miles per hour. And that will be the continuing story as the winds, again, out of the north and northwest, that will eventually start to die down as we get towards the late afternoon hours. But needless to say, my friends, be prepared for the chilly air that's going to come along with those northerly breezes. Temperatures working their way from the morning 70s. We were in the 70s this morning, hovering in the 40s through the remainder of the day. Rain chances pretty much coming to an end pretty quickly outside of an isolated shower here between, say, 8 and 9 o'clock in the morning. Will turn dry during the back end of the day. Keep in mind that with those winds pretty aggressive throughout the course of the day, it's going to feel even colder, so you're going to need a jacket for you as you're stepping out the door this morning or out and about this afternoon. Wind chills will likely be in the 30s in some instances. Now, we're not completely done with the rain just yet. We actually have another system that's going to come down the pipeline. So this is our morning system on Wednesday. Nothing really going on between now and Thursday evening outside of maybe a shower or two. A couple of showers will start to move in after about 8 or 9 o'clock in the evening on Thursday, continuing into early Friday morning. That will bring us our next wave of rain. It's an area of low pressure coming up out of the Rio Grande Valley. They'll bring us a better chance for rain for that. So our first solar futurecast showing our thin band of showers and storms, gusty band of downpours moving eastward, moving out into northern Alabama, middle Tennessee. Colder air continues to sink southward, hovering in the 40s through the course of the day. We might see a peak or two of sun late today, but expect more clouds than not, and the clouds likely to hang tough throughout the course of the next couple of days. Starting off tomorrow morning, deep in the freezer. We haven't been down near freezing for a while. We'll get close to it as we start off on your Thursday. Lots of clouds throughout the day, maybe an isolated shower sneaking in for a couple folks in north central Mississippi, east central Arkansas, as we head towards Thursday afternoon with temperatures in the lower 50s. Here come our opportunities for a couple of passing light rain showers moving in and out fairly quickly. Most of the rain coming to an end through the morning hours. The clouds hang on tough, middle to upper 50s expected for your Friday, and eventually the clouds will start to clear out and sunshine will return heading towards the upcoming weekend. And a rebound in temperatures, the roller coaster ride of the dip in temperatures feeling more like winter here the next few days, come back to spring-like feels by Saturday as well as Sunday with highs near 70 on Saturday, middle 70s potentially by Sunday. There's another system that comes down the pipeline though as we head towards your Monday. That could bring us another wave of showers and storms late Monday into Tuesday, something we'll be keeping an eye on here in the next couple of days. I think there's going to be some adjustments on the timing of that system. And I think in general, the pattern going into the first week of March likely to be pretty active with several waves of showers and storms to contend with, an unsettled pattern, if you will, over that time frame. We're trying to claw our way out of this unsettled pattern. After several days here of the warm winds blowing in here, it's now a cold wind blowing in across the area as temperatures hover in the 40s for the remainder of the day. We go for highs in the low 50s for your Thursday, mostly cloudy skies. There might be an isolated shower, better rain chances overnight Thursday into Friday. Get most of the rain out of here by about 8 or 9 o'clock in the morning on Friday, and then some sunshine breaks back by the time we head towards the weekend, and highs creeping back up into the spring-like levels, at least for the weekend start of next week. We'll keep an eye out on Monday and Tuesday with the next system coming down the pipeline. Of course, you can always see what's going on in the palm of your hand using the Action News 5 First Alert Weather app. Download it in the Google Play Store and the Apple App Store.
Good morning, everyone. Andrew Douglas here in the Action News 5 Digital Desk. Despite issues like inflation and economic uncertainty, salaries continue to trend upward in the U.S. and in some cases, they go up pretty sharply. And according to a salary guide to be released today, as a matter of fact, the tight talent market, employers must offer more than competitive pay in order to keep up and win over workers. So let's talk a little bit about what are the salary trends heading into 2023. I'm joined now by Brandy Britton. She is a career workplace expert for Global Talent Solutions and Business Consulting. How are you, Brandy? Good morning.
Good day. Thank you for having me.
Tell me about the top 3 salary trends as we head into 2023.
Well, I have to say, in my 23 years in recruiting, I've never seen a labor market like the one we're in today, where top of mind, everyone's thinking about it. Number one is salaries and perks are definitely on the rise. Number 2, employers have to be prepared to talk about money, not just with potential employees, but with their current employees, and regularly having these conversations. And then last but not least, money does not offset a poor employee experience.
How much does remote work play into the equation of these job offers?
Yeah, so remote work is the number one thing that people want, or at least hybrid. And so if an employer can offer that to employees, they have a competitive advantage no matter where they're located in the US.
All right, what about inflation and economic uncertainty? How is that affecting salaries out there, Brandy?
Yeah, as you can imagine, inflation is impacting everything, including salaries. When you've got a record number of job openings, a shortage of worker, the top of mind is compensation. So when you're going to the grocery store and everything's a little bit more expensive, then you're looking to your employer on what can you pay me, or how much can I get if I were to change jobs? So it is definitely top of mind.
Okay, so we may have mentioned this a little bit, but what do workers want from their employers other than the salary, the pay? It sounds like they want a lot more flexibility. Is that right?
Yeah, Andrew, you mentioned it. So remote work and hybrid work are what employees are really demanding and wanting. But beyond that, because not all employers can offer that, beyond that, they're looking at benefits and perks. So some of those benefits are your traditional healthcare and wellness programs. They want to know that their employer cares about their overall well-being. And then last but not least, they want to have the opportunity to be upskilled, or they want career growth because they want to invest in their employer, and they want to know that their employer is invested in them as well.
What about job seekers? How can they negotiate a raise or a better job offer? You know, that a lot of job seekers out there might be a little bit timid to do that. How can they do that effectively?
Yeah, so now is a great time to not be timid about it, because there's a lot of opportunity out there. But I'll give you 5 tips on what you can do to get a raise. First and foremost, it starts with asking. You don't get if you don't ask. Secondly, do your research. There's a lot of different websites, including ours at roberthalf.com, where you can look and find out what is the average salary for your position right now. The third thing that you want to do is you want to request a meeting with your manager. Be forthcoming with them. Let them know that you want to talk about your compensation. Then once you get, the number 4 thing is, once you get into the meeting with your manager, be realistic about what you're asking for. Is the company in good shape? What's going on within the company? How much of an increase are you looking for? And then the 5th and last point is, if for some reason you don't get all that you ask for, or you don't get a raise at all, then ask your manager, what do you need to do to get that raise? How can you improve? What other additional tasks can you take on? And then set a follow-up meeting out there, probably about 90 days, to follow up on that request on what you can do to get that actual increase that you were looking for.
All great advice there, Brandy. If our viewers are watching right now, is there a place that they can go to get some more information on this?
Absolutely. For tips for employers as well as job seekers, you can go to our website at roberthalf.com.
Okay, Brandy Britton with Robert Half. We appreciate your time. Thanks so very much. Really enjoyed our conversation.
Thanks for having me today.
All right, Andrew Douglas here in the Action News 5 Digital Desk. We talk a lot about statins because statins are so important. It is one of those tools to help prevent major cardiovascular problems for so many people out there. But many patients stop taking statins because of the side effects, and that includes muscle pain. So let's talk more about statins, some of the benefits, and some of the issues that people deal with. I'm joined now by Dr. Shushan Khare with Methodist and Methodist Health. Doctor, thanks so much for joining us here. Let's talk a little bit about statins and exactly what are statins.
Well, thank you very much for having me here. It's a great opportunity to educate everyone about statins. So statins are one of the most commonly prescribed cholesterol-lowering medications. A lot of times your primary care doctor or your cardiologist will prescribe these medications. These have been around for several decades now, and they have come a long way in terms of efficacy and potency, in terms of how much lipid-lowering properties they have. What statins basically do is they decrease the production or synthesis of a bad cholesterol in your liver by acting on an enzyme. So basically, they just slow down the factory that makes statin. The common statins that are used these days are Lipitor and Crestor, which have gone generic now for atorvastatin and rosuvastatin, respectively.
Let me ask you something, doctor, because I've had different people tell me about cholesterol being too high and other ways naturally to bring it down, and one of which is I've had some people say, oh, well, if you have a certain amount of walnuts every day for 6 months, you can bring down your cholesterol and you won't need statins. Are there ways to do it without the use of statin drugs?
There are several ways to lower your cholesterol. Statin is one of the medications that helps us lower cholesterol. Eating healthy is certainly the right thing to do, regardless of you take medications or not. But the most important thing when we talk about statin and lowering your cholesterol, we have to talk about why we're taking it. So, for example, if you are a young 30-year-old, or no, I'm not saying 40, 50 are not young, but if you're relatively younger, have no other medical problems, then certainly trying things that are not medications would be the right thing to do first. But before you do such a thing, having a conversation with your doctor to understand what your cholesterol level is and will these natural ways of lowering cholesterol will truly benefit you or not is the right thing to do.
Let's talk about how statins work to lower cholesterol and the risks of heart attack and stroke. And, there are some people, particularly in my family, that don't want to have anything to do with statins, that they would rather do it some other way naturally. And I mentioned walnuts. I have another family member that says walnuts and almonds will help. I mean, are these ways that people can lower cholesterol without getting on a statin?
Not always. So like I said, the level of cholesterol elevation is more important. So if you just have mild elevation of your cholesterol, then you can try taking walnuts. Some people talk about garlic, things like that, or other herbs. But if your cholesterol is severely elevated, and if you have other medical problems such as diabetes, high blood pressure, heart disease, history of stroke, then statin is the way to go for those patients. And you mentioned your family member. I have one in my family too. My father's on the same path. He has diabetes and he absolutely refuses to take statin. But he and similar people, he's in his mid-60s. People like him are the prime candidates who would benefit from statins, because statins not only lower your cholesterol, but they also decrease your risk of having a heart attack or having a stroke. The way they do that is, apart from lowering cholesterol, they also release a lot of chemicals in your blood vessels, which, if you will, to put it simply, kind of help the efficiency of blood flow in those arteries. It's kind of lubricating your blood vessels for the blood to flow more smoothly. Not only that, they also stabilize some of the blockages that you might have in your heart arteries. So you could always have some 30-40% blockages in your heart arteries or your neck arteries, which you're completely asymptomatic from. But what these statins do is they keep these blockages stable and decrease your risk of heart attack.
Okay, so these side effects, though, I mean, and people talk about statins, they talk about the side effects, and one of which is muscle pain. Are there any other side effects? And let's say you are taking these statins and you do have muscle pain. What can you do to deal and minimize those side effects?
So muscle ache or muscle pain is one of the most commonly described side effects of statin. But again, it's important to understand that not all muscle aches or muscle pains are related to statin. Statin may just happen to be in the mix of things. A lot of people taking statin have muscle pains, which are secondary to something which just happened to be presenting at the same time the statin was added. A lot of people who take statin get muscle aches, and they actually are deficient in vitamin D, or they have thyroid problems. And evaluating those things first before saying the statin is the one that caused muscle ache is the way to go. A lot of times people take supplements like CoQ10, which also improves tolerance of statin by decreasing the incidence of muscle aches in these people.
Yes, CoQ10. I've heard a lot about the benefits there of CoQ10. It's interesting for sure. Are there any other side effects we need to know about when it comes to statins? And the other thing I want to ask you, doctor, is I know that 200, a cholesterol level of 200 or more is considered high. But wasn't it just a few decades ago when the cholesterol level was up to 220 was okay, and then after 220 was high? Why did they bring it down?
So nowadays, the focus is more on the bad cholesterol as against the total cholesterol. Bad cholesterol, when you look at your report, is the cholesterol that is reported as LDL, or low density lipoprotein. The total cholesterol has less prognostic value these days. The reason we focus on bad cholesterol, or LDL, is because that is the one that dictates what is your risk of having a heart attack or stroke. And the value for bad cholesterol, or LDL, actually in patients with known heart disease or diabetes, that bad cholesterol needs to be lower than 100. And we try to shoot for that number to be less than 70 if possible.
Very interesting. And I know that heart disease is the #1 killer when it comes to Americans in general. I mean, heart disease, #1 for men and for women. Is there anything, I mean, I guess when it comes down to it, if statins are lowering your cholesterol, then heart disease is certainly something that's going to be lower too, right?
Mm-hmm, that's correct. As I said, because statins not only lower your cholesterol, they kind of stabilize these blockages, which decrease your risk of heart attack. To put it simply, what they do is the statin, if you look at a volcano is not always active. Most of the times it's dormant. And the reason you get heart attacks is because those volcanoes become active. And statins are the ones that keep those volcanoes as dormant as possible.
Anything else you want to mention, Dr. K. Ray, when it comes to statins, when it comes to cholesterol, good or bad? Why they brought it down from 220 to 200?
You asked me earlier about what are the other potential side effects of statins. Some people can get joint pain. Some people can get headaches from statins. Some people can have just gastric intolerance from statin. The focus, the reason the focus shifted to bad cholesterol or the LDL is because over a period of time, over decades of studies and literature that has been published, what they found out is the cholesterol has different components. There is a high density lipoprotein, which is the good cholesterol. And then there is LDL or low density lipoprotein, which is the bad cholesterol. And then there is triglyceride. So what they found out is that the correlation between the good cholesterol and the risk of heart attacks is not well established. Then they looked at triglycerides, which is the other component of cholesterol. And again, the correlation was not well established. And that's why the focus is now more on the LDL or low density lipoprotein.
Okay, Dr. Sushan K. Ray with Methodist Le Bonheur Healthcare. We appreciate your time. Thanks so very much for the information.
Well, thank you very much for having me.
Hey guys, welcome back to the Action News 5 Digital Desk this morning on a very windy Wednesday. We've got a lot in store for you if you've been just tuning in to us, and we're going to have someone joining us here in just a second. Pastor Gerald Kiner, he's with Daughters of Zion, here to chat with us about a food truck, but this is a special kind of food truck that he is going to be sharing more with us about. So let's get right on over to Pastor Gerald Kiner. Pastor, how you doing this morning? All right, can you hear me now? There we go.
Yes, thank you for having me. How are you doing?
I'm wonderful. Thanks so much for being with us. Before we get started, do you mind turning your camera around horizontally for us? Are you able to do that?
Okay.
There we go. Perfect. There we go.
Good.
Awesome, awesome. Looking amazing. Really appreciate that. So tell us a little bit about this food truck. What's it all about?
Well, it's called the Homeless Food Truck, and it's designed to do just what it says, to feed the homeless. But not only to feed the homeless, it's designed to attract the homeless so that we can provide services to the homeless.
What other kind of service are you guys providing?
So we try to place the homeless into homes, number one. We don't want them to have reoccurring issues of homelessness, and a lot of the homeless don't have their identification. So we try to get them connected, to get them registered so they can get back into the system and get their ID, try to get them connected with their Social Security benefits. We try to get them connected to mental health services if necessary. We try to get them connected to other shelter services. So we have a lot of the kids that are homeless on the street. So we're trying to get them connected back into the school system. We're trying to get their parents, of course, working. We have a CNA program, Certified Nursing Assistant program. We also have a college that we have services for. We're connected to high school GED programs where we can help people get their GED. We can help people get their high school diploma. So it's a full array of services to help to prevent reoccurring issues of homelessness. It's not just feeding them, because if we're just feeding them, then they're going to need food forever. But if we help to elevate them, then prayerfully we can put them in a position that can get them out the street and becoming independent.
Absolutely. So, Pastor, can you kind of talk about how this all came about? Where did this idea come from? And is this the first time you guys have done something like this?
Well, it's most definitely an idea that for me as a pastor, I know came straight from God. Just to be able to, again, figure out a way to crack the code. You know, how can we reach out to the homeless community? How can we let people know that we care? How can we make a difference in the lives of homeless people? And of course, I'm a foodie. I love food, and I don't know too many people who don't love food. And I know that there are a lot of food trucks in Memphis. We mentor a lot of businesses, over 1,100 businesses in our Daughters Design Micro Business Center. And in that Micro Business Center, we have a lot of food trucks, probably about 50 different companies that run food trucks. So just knowing a lot of people in the food truck industry and seeing a lot of people homeless, the idea just hit, hey, why don't we have a homeless food truck? Since most food trucks, they drive right past the homeless. So I wanted to have a food truck designed to go to the homeless where they don't have to pay anything. They look forward to getting a great meal. I just hired one of our members who had moved to Mississippi. She's a chef named Cynthia Washington. So I just hired her to move back to Memphis so that she can be the full-time chef cooking for the food truck. So they get a good meal. We have partners throughout Shelby County, from Collierville, Panel Bread, Germantown, Miss Cordelia in downtown. So we have McDonald's, Houston Levy. We have a lot of different businesses that are working with us, in addition to hiring our own chef, to make sure that we attract those people that are homeless and let them know, number one, that the people of Shelby County care. And it's our job as the Talented 10th, taken from W.B. Du Bois' book, The Soul of Black Folks, but it's our job as the Talented 10th, whether we're Black, whether we're white, whether we're red, brown, it's our job to reach back into the community to let the less fortunate know that they're not forgotten and that we can help them elevate themselves.
Pastor Kiner, what can folks do to get involved? If people are watching this right now, we get thousands of folks watching the Digital Desk all over Memphis and Shelby County. If they are seeing this right now and they want to step up, they want to help, what can they do? Should they reach out to you?
Number one, they can call our 24-hour hotline, 901-570-3220. That number again is 901-570-3220. Or they can go to our website, homelessfoodtruck.com, homelessfoodtruck.com, and they can donate food, they can volunteer, they can help us identify other areas in the city, in the county, where they know large populations of people that are on the street, that are homeless, that we can take their food truck to and provide them services. So we really need to know where the homeless population is so that we can make sure that we are going to them and not only feeding them, but giving them the services that they need to help prevent them from staying on the streets forever. So that would be a great, great blessing, just to give us the knowledge and the intellect to know where to find the homeless. And again, to volunteer to help us, because a lot of times when we're dealing with restaurants that are donating, we don't have time to go serve the homeless and go pick up food. So if we had people, volunteers who can go and pick up food, that'd be great as well.
I want to ask you this. I was looking at the photo and it looked like you guys were downtown. So I imagine downtown's an area you'll be in. Can you kind of reiterate other parts of the city that y'all hit? Because you made it the point that they are going to the homeless. The homeless don't have to come to them.
Right. So we've been established for 2 weeks in our primary area right now, because it's the largest population of people that we see on the street has been downtown. But for example, we've been posting on Facebook to let people know, hey, if you know areas where a large segment of the homeless population are hanging, like under bridges, let us know so that we can go to those areas as well. So that's one of the reasons why we're asking for the volunteers to call their number and to let us know throughout the community where you see large segments of the homeless population, so we can take that food truck and make that a regular stop as well.
Now, I know you guys obviously are focusing on the services, the resources you're offering, but we got to talk about the food. So can you explain what other food and what types of food is going to be offered on this truck?
Well, number one, again, we brought in Chef Cynthia, and she specializes in a lot of good soul food. So, for example, yesterday she had the baked chicken, she had greens, she had pinto beans. We also get assistance from the Collierville Pizza Hut. So we are sometimes they love Pizza Hut, and you'll be amazed when we bring them McDonald's cheeseburgers, double cheeseburgers. They're like going crazy over the cheeseburgers. I'm like, you want the cheeseburgers over the soul food? And many of them want the cheeseburgers even over the soul food, because think about it. They can't go into McDonald's and pay for a cheeseburger. But all of us grew up on McDonald's basically. So just the small things that we take for granted, even bottled water, we take for granted, where when we get thirsty, we can go to a water fountain on our job, so we can bring bottled water from home. But the homeless, when they're thirsty, they just can't go into certain buildings sometimes and ask for water. So bottled water even is one of the most requested items that the homeless ask for. And it never dawned on me the significance of just a bottle of water for the homeless, to be able to, when they're walking and to get thirsty, they have no place to go a lot of times in the parks. When I grew up in the parks, all the parks had water fountains. But today, I see no park with a water fountain. So when you see the homeless congregating in parks, there are no water fountains for them to drink. So just bottled water is significant. I mean, you have no idea on how touching it is when people are looking for bottled water to drink, just basic necessities that we take for granted. So those food choices, such as spaghetti, we'll make sure they get spaghetti with the noodles. One of my church members, she made a giant pan of chicken Alfredo. That was a major hit. So we try to give them food that we would eat, because again, I'm a foodie. So I want to make sure that they're getting the best food, that they would get a home cooked meal that they love. Because again, I taste everything before we feed anybody. So it's a hit with the homeless. But again, just a bottle of water makes a difference.
Absolutely making a ton of differences. That's something that your organization, your church is doing. I love to hear about this, especially when you highlight things so simple as bottled water. Thank you so much for your time. Again, this is Pastor Gerald Kiner. You're with the Daughters of Zion. You guys have a homeless food truck, and as we talked about, folks can volunteer. They can come help you guys out. We'll have all this information, of course, on our website, actionnews5.com. Pastor Kiner, thank you so much for your time. Really appreciate you.
Thank you for having me.
Thank you. All right, you're taking a live look downtown out of our Action News 5 High 5 cam. 46 degrees out there, a little chilly, so make sure you grab a coat. 10:11 this morning. Don't go anywhere. We will be right back on the Action News 5 digital desk.
Thanks for joining us here on the Action News 5 Digital Desk this morning. Of course, the strong winds have started to blow not out of the south and west, now out of the north and west, and that's going to usher in the colder air. And you've definitely noticed a difference between this morning into this latter portion of the morning and throughout the course of the day. That's going to be part of the story. Wind gusts anywhere from 30 to 40 miles per hour. And that will be the continuing story as the winds, again, out of the north and northwest, that will eventually start to die down as we get towards the late afternoon hours. But needless to say, my friends, be prepared for the chilly air that's going to come along with those northerly breezes. Temperatures working their way from the morning 70s. We were in the 70s this morning, hovering in the 40s for the remainder of the day. Rain chances pretty much coming to an end pretty quickly outside of an isolated shower here between, say, 8, 9 o'clock in the morning. Will turn dry during the back end of the day. Keep in mind that with those winds pretty aggressive throughout the course of the day, it's going to feel even colder, so you're going to need a jacket for you as you're stepping out the door this morning or out and about this afternoon. Wind chills will likely be in the 30s in some instances. Now, we're not completely done with the rain just yet. We actually have another system that's going to come down the pipeline. So this is our morning system on Wednesday. Nothing really going on between now and Thursday evening outside of maybe a shower or two. A couple of showers will start to move in after about 8 or 9 o'clock in the evening on Thursday, continuing into early Friday morning. That will bring us our next wave of rain. It's an area of low pressure coming up out of the Rio Grande Valley. That'll bring us a better chance for rain for that. So our first alert futurecast showing our thin band of showers and storms, gusty band of downpours moving eastward, moving out into northern Alabama, middle Tennessee. Colder air continues to sink southward, hovering in the 40s through the course of the day. We might see a peak or two of sun late today, but expect more clouds tonight, and the clouds likely to hang tough throughout the course of the next couple of days. Starting off tomorrow morning, deep in the freezer. We haven't been down near freezing for a while. We'll get close to it as we start off on your Thursday. Lots of clouds throughout the day, maybe an isolated shower sneaking in for a couple folks in north central Mississippi, east central Arkansas, as we head towards Thursday afternoon with temperatures in the lower 50s. Here come our opportunities for a couple of passing light rain showers moving in and out fairly quickly. Most of the rain coming to an end through the morning hours. The clouds hang on tough, middle to upper 50s expected for your Friday, and eventually the clouds will start to clear out and sunshine will return heading towards the upcoming weekend. And a rebound in temperatures, the roller coaster ride of the dip in temperatures feeling more like winter here the next few days, come back to spring-like feels by Saturday as well as Sunday, with highs near 70 on Saturday, middle 70s potentially by Sunday. There's another system that comes down the pipeline, though, as we head towards your Monday. That could bring us another wave of showers and storms late Monday into Tuesday, something we'll be keeping an eye on here in the next couple of days. I think there's going to be some adjustments on the timing of that system. And I think in general, the pattern going into the first week of March likely to be pretty active with several waves of showers and storms to contend with, an unsettled pattern, if you will, over that time frame. We're trying to claw our way out of this unsettled pattern. After several days here of the warm winds blowing in here, it's now a cold wind blowing in across the area as temperatures hover in the 40s for the remainder of the day. We go for highs in the low 50s for your Thursday, mostly cloudy skies. There might be an isolated shower, better rain chances overnight Thursday into Friday. Get most of the rain out of here by about 8 or 9 o'clock in the morning on Friday, and then some sunshine breaks back by the time we head towards the weekend, and highs creeping back up into the spring-like levels, at least for the weekend start of next week. We'll keep an eye out on Monday into Tuesday with the next system coming down the pipeline. Of course, you can always see what's going on in the palm of your hand using the Action News 5 First Alert Weather app. Download it in the Google Play Store and the Apple App Store.
Right now, I want to talk about some of the amazing things to look forward to in 2024, one of which is the Memphis Showboats. Remember last year, the season? It was a slow start, but man, was it a lot of fun. They went on a tear beating, 4 or 5 games in a row. I remember taking my son there. My wife and I had a blast. It was so enjoyable. And guess what? The new season is right around the corner. Memphis Showboats are back in Memphis. And I'm joined right now on the Action News 5 digital desk by the brand new head coach of your Memphis Showboats, John DeFilippo, joining us on the digital desk. John, how are you? Happy New Year to you.
Happy New Year to you guys too. It's great to be here, and I'm thrilled to be in Memphis. And by the way, that winning streak started. That winning streak started with my team last year, the New Orleans Breakers. We were 4-0, and they came in and beat us.
I remember that, John. So for people maybe who don't know a little bit about your background, you have extensive background, extensive coaching experience in the NFL, and as you just mentioned, the USFL. Can you talk a little bit about your background?
Yeah, absolutely. Been very fortunate in my coaching career. I've spent 15 years in the National Football League, mainly as a quarterback coach or offensive coordinator. And then I spent 7 years coaching Division I college football. Before that, been to the top of the mountain with the Philadelphia Eagles in 2017. Very fortunate to win a Super Bowl with a great group of players and coaches and a great organization. And obviously got my first chance to be a head coach last year with the New Orleans Breakers and try to make the most of that opportunity, and we'll do the same here in Memphis.
Fantastic. Really excited. Yes, I'm very familiar with that run in 2017 and the New Orleans Breakers. Very good team last year, too. What can we expect from the Showboats this year? Because, there was a lot of excitement throughout the year and throughout the season. We didn't make the playoffs, but it would be great to build upon that and eventually get in those playoffs.
Absolutely, this is going to be an exciting new league, and it's going to be a lot of the best players from both leagues playing against each other. So we're going to bring an exciting brand of football. I think if you watched our New Orleans teams last year, we love to throw the football, and we love hard play action pass with shots down the field and a power run game. So that's what we're going to be on offense. On defense, that was one of the toughest defenses we went against last year, and that's why I kept Coach Carnell Lake as our defensive coordinator. And he'll do a great job again with this defense, and they did a great job of making us work, and teams throughout the league last year work and kept the ball in front of them, and we're very, very stout in the run game. So we're going to be we're going to stop the run first and then have explosive pass gains along with running the football.
Let me ask you this, because it became official just a few days ago that the XFL and the USFL merged. It's now the United Football League. Does that change anything for the fan, or does that change anything from you and how you're going to coach?
Yeah, I think it changes a lot. To me, the whole landscape of spring football now is for the better because, unfortunately, there's going to be young men that don't have a chance to play in this league and coaches that don't have a chance to coach in this league. But at the same time, you're getting the best players from both leagues. And, I know in 2 years with the USFL, they put over 100 players in the National Football League. I mean, the team that we got beat by last year in the playoffs, the Birmingham Stallions, put 16 players in the National Football League last year alone. So you're going to see not only that amount of numbers of guys signing with NFL teams, but now with the XFL players coming over and us merging together, the brand of football is going to be better. It's going to be more exciting for the fans, and I'll tell you what, Simmons Bank Liberty Stadium is going to be lit up next year.
I can't wait. I'm getting excited just hearing you talk, John, and looking forward to it. So we got the first game, I believe, at the end of March. Tell me about the fan experience. I know it was so fan-friendly last year. As I mentioned off the top, I was there with my son, with my wife. We enjoyed the experience a great deal. Are we going to be seeing more of that, or is it going to be a little bit different? Tell me.
I'll be honest with you. I don't know what the fan experience is going to be like, but I know I liked the fan experience last year when we visited Memphis. I know, and it was a great atmosphere, and there's no doubt it's going to be fan-friendly. That's going to be a major, major piece of this league for sure. But what we can control is putting the product on the field to make the experience fun, because it's always more fun when you leave the stadium after your team wins. So that's what we're going to do our best to do.
That sounds fantastic. Anything? I know training camp. We're still weeks away from all of that. But can you talk a little bit about this team and what to expect? Is it, I know you're offensive-minded. We had a great defense. You're more of an offensive guy. What can we expect from the team? And maybe, what kind of offense? Let's start there.
Yeah, sure. We're going to be mainly 3 wide receivers, okay, mainly. Offense, and our offense is very involved. We get our best playmakers the football as much as we can. We're very tight end friendly, and that's been proven throughout the course of my history with tight ends. I think you'll see our tight end room catch a lot of passes and do a great job. But like I said, we're going to be explosive. We're going to run to the football. We're not going to do everything right, but it's going to be fast, and it's going to be a lot of fun for our fans to watch.
That sounds fantastic, head coach John DeFilippo. Anything else you want to mention to the fans before we let you go? This is exciting. We can't wait.
Well, I'm just thrilled to be in a football crazed state like Tennessee and a football crazed town like Memphis. That's what gets me excited and should get our players excited as well. I mean, Memphis is an unbelievable town. It's a place I've spent some time in the past, and I'm just thrilled to be part of the community.
Absolutely. We're thrilled to have you, head coach John DeFilippo, new head coach of your Memphis Showboats. John, thanks so very much for joining us on the Digital Desk, and all the best in this upcoming season. Right now, I want to focus on small businesses. Of course, small businesses, we all know this, it's a great way to support your local community. There are more than 33 million small businesses all across the country. And get this, they employ some 61 million Americans. I'm joined now by Carissa Renninger of Small Biz Silver Lining. And she can really kind of do a deep dive into how small businesses are really like the life and blood of our economy. Carissa, good morning. Can you talk a little bit more about why small businesses are so important, not only for Memphis and the Mid-South, but across the country?
Yeah, thank you so much for having me. So, I think that COVID gave us one small gift. It gave us a lot of complications and a lot of challenges, but one of the gifts it gave us is it reminded us how important our local communities are. And when we look around at local communities, what we see is that vibrant, alive, connected, safe communities are always full of small businesses. And so when we think about not just those big economic stats, like you pointed out, which are so true and so important, but also when we really think about the types of communities that we want to live in, we want them to be full of small businesses. And so we always say that, when the small business succeeds, we all succeed. More kids go to school, more jobs are created, our communities thrive, and our economy grows in a more just way. And so we as consumers have a critical part to play in actually supporting small business, not just for them, but for us. It creates a better world for all of us to be living in.
I think if I were to go across 10 people right on the street, I think all 10 would say, yes, it's very important to shop local, no question about it. But here's the thing, especially during the holidays, and I'm sure you agree with this, Carissa, when it comes time to get a gift fast or get something quickly, people will go immediately to Amazon. They're going to get something with Amazon Prime, 2 days, it's delivered to their house, and that's it. And I keep telling everybody, hey, look, Amazon, I say a few choice words, but I'm like, that's not the way to shop. And changing someone's shopping habits is so difficult to do. So how do you combat against a big behemoth like Amazon?
Yeah, we share those choice words, so I am with you. One of the things that I always say to people is we actually need to vote with our dollars. We have an upcoming election coming in this country, and we're going to be talking a lot about voting for the type of country we want. But I think as crucial as it is to go to the polls and vote, every dollar we spend is a vote. It's a vote for the type of community we want to live in. It's a vote for the type of economy we want to be a part of. It's a vote for the type of world we want to be participating in. And so, yes, sometimes it is harder to buy from a small business. Yes, we might have to get off our couches and away from our computers and embark on a walk down the street. But in exchange for that, our lives are better because none of us were meant to be behind a computer, isolated and alone. That's not what the world is meant to be. But more importantly, we're voting with our dollars. And so, yes, it might be more convenient to buy from Amazon. Yes, it sometimes may even be cheaper. But in exchange for us choosing choosing convenience over community, we are really making these tiny, tiny choices. And each individual choice feels like it doesn't matter, but they add up to a very significant reality. And so, like you, I'm trying to get people's attention around this. Yes, we all agree that small business is critical. Yes, we all benefit when small businesses succeed. But I don't know that we all realize that our daily choices plays a genuinely significant impact and a big, big role in the communities and in the economies that we all choose to live in.
All right, Carissa. So we're aligned here. We both agree. So how do we? Are there steps that all of us feel that we could do, perhaps in the next week or the next month and throughout the year, to get people more to focus on shopping local and how it's so important for the local economy's vitality? Are there some simple steps, maybe some bullet points?
Yeah, so I think there's three things that we can all do. It's the beginning of a new year. We all have New Year's resolutions and new ideas for how we want to live our life. One is gifts are a time where I think we often sort of step back and we want to be a bit more thoughtful. So I would love to encourage everyone listening that in 2024, every time you need to buy a gift for someone else, buy it from a small business. Chances are you're going to come up with something a little bit more unique, a little bit more thoughtful, but it's also sort of a fun way to actually have a habit of buying from a small business at those special moments when you want to do something nice for someone else. So that would be number one. Number two, and I really think this is important, I think we've all, myself included, become far too comfortable sitting at home by ourselves with our computers. Once a week, go to a local restaurant or a local coffee shop. Even if you go by yourself, sit at the bar, sit at the counter, spend a little bit of money, even if you don't have a lot. I really understand that. But be in the community. One, your dollars will matter to the small business that you buy from. But two, it'll remind us of the humanity of that experience. And I believe that when we're reminded of it, we're going to want more of it. And then number three, I really believe, inflation has gone up, budgets are tight. I mean, I really sympathize with sort of the general challenge of just money and how we manage it. I just really believe that we might be called to a moment in time where less is more and quality matters more than quantity. And so I would just say, think about all the things that you find yourself buying a lot of. Maybe it's clothes, maybe it's toys for your kids, maybe it's home goods. And is it possible to just slightly rethink your buying philosophy, where instead of just going for the quick fixes and the lots and lots of stuff, could you spend the same amount of money or maybe even less, buy fewer things, but buy them in a way that is more high quality and more high community?
Carissa, I love your viewpoint. I love those points, and I appreciate our conversation very much. Thank you for joining us on the Digital Desk. We appreciate it.
Thank you for having me.
Thanks for joining us here on the Action News 5 Digital Desk this morning. Of course, the strong winds have started to blow not out of the south and west, now out of the north and west, and that's going to usher in the colder air. And you've definitely noticed a difference between this morning into this latter portion of the morning and throughout the course of the day. That's going to be part of the story. Wind gusts anywhere from 30 to 40 miles per hour. And that will be the continuing story as the winds, again, out of the north and northwest, that will eventually start to die down as we get towards the late afternoon hours. But needless to say, my friends, be prepared for the chilly air that's going to come along with those northerly breezes. Temperatures working their way from the morning 70s. We were in the 70s this morning, hovering in the 40s for the remainder of the day. Rain chances pretty much coming to an end pretty quickly outside of an isolated shower here between, say, 8 and 9 o'clock in the morning. Will turn dry during the back end of the day. Keep in mind that with those winds pretty aggressive throughout the course of the day, it's going to feel even colder, so you're going to need a jacket for you as you're stepping out the door this morning or out and about this afternoon. Wind chills will likely be in the 30s in some instances. Now, we're not completely done with the rain just yet. We actually have another system that's going to come down the pipeline. So this is our morning system on Wednesday. Nothing really going on between now and Thursday evening outside of maybe a shower or two. A couple of showers will start to move in after about 8 or 9 o'clock in the evening on Thursday, continuing into early Friday morning. That will bring us our next wave of rain. It's an area of low pressure coming up out of the Rio Grande Valley. That'll bring us a better chance for rain for that. So our first solar futurecast showing our thin band of showers and storms, gusty band of downpours moving eastward, moving out into northern Alabama, middle Tennessee. Colder air continues to sink southward, hovering in the 40s through the course of the day. We might see a peak or two of sun late today, but expect more clouds than not, and the clouds likely to hang tough throughout the course of the next couple of days. Starting off tomorrow morning, deep in the freezer. We haven't been down near freezing for a while. We'll get close to it as we start off on your Thursday. Lots of clouds throughout the day, maybe an isolated shower sneaking in for a couple folks in north central Mississippi, east central Arkansas, as we head towards Thursday afternoon with temperatures in the lower 50s. Here come our opportunities for a couple of passing light rain showers moving in and out fairly quickly. Most of the rain coming to an end through the morning hours. The clouds hang on tough, middle to upper 50s expected for your Friday, and eventually the clouds will start to clear out and sunshine will return heading towards the upcoming weekend. And a rebound in temperatures, the roller coaster ride of the dip in temperatures feeling more like winter here the next few days, come back to spring-like feels by Saturday as well as Sunday with highs near 70 on Saturday, middle 70s potentially by Sunday. There's another system that comes down the pipeline though as we head towards your Monday. That could bring us another wave of showers and storms late Monday into Tuesday, something we'll be keeping an eye on here in the next couple of days. I think there's going to be some adjustments on the timing of that system. And I think in general, the pattern going into the first week of March likely to be pretty active with several waves of showers and storms to contend with, an unsettled pattern, if you will, over that time frame. We're trying to claw our way out of this unsettled pattern. After several days here of the warm winds blowing in here, it's now a cold wind blowing in across the area as temperatures hover in the 40s for the remainder of the day. We go for highs in the low 50s for your Thursday, mostly cloudy skies. There might be an isolated shower, better rain chances overnight Thursday into Friday. Get most of the rain out of here by about 8 or 9 o'clock in the morning on Friday, and then some sunshine breaks back by the time we head towards the weekend, and highs creeping back up into the spring-like levels, at least for the weekend start of next week. We'll keep an eye out on Monday and Tuesday with the next system coming down the pipeline. Of course, you can always see what's going on in the palm of your hand using the Action News 5 First Alert Weather app. Download it in the Google Play Store and the Apple App Store.
You know, we hear about all these weight loss drugs, different things we see on social media or You can hear celebrities talking about it, the discussion about Wegovy, perhaps, or Saxenda. But are these medications, are these drugs really magic for weight loss? And are they safe as well? Let's bring in someone to help us kind of decipher what's good, what's not, and what we should be doing when it comes to weight loss. I'm joined now by a bariatric physician, Dr. Lee Daigle. She is with Methodist Le Bonheur Healthcare. Dr. Daigle, thanks for joining us on the Digital Desk. So what can you say right off the bat when it comes to these weight loss drugs? I know some people in our newsroom, as a matter of fact, that are on Wegovy. Are these things safe? And what would you say to a prospective patient out there?
So yes, for the most part, they are safe. Just like with any medications, there are potential side effects. And so that needs to be discussed. There are medication interactions that need to be considered. So that needs to be decided on with the patient and their physician or weight management specialist either. They are safe. They are used in conjunction with healthy eating habits and active lifestyle changes. So alone without diet and exercise, they are not as effective. So I wouldn't say that they're magic, but they are great tools to use in addition to lifestyle changes.
Okay, does that include Ozempic? I mean, I hear that's another one that people like to take.
Yes, so Wegovy is FDA approved for weight management. That's semaglutide. Ozempic is the same drug, but it's approved for diabetes.
I got you. Okay. All right. And so you said, okay, these are okay, but you have to consider, your diet and your lifestyle. Let's talk about that aspect of this equation when it comes to weight loss and doing it in a healthy way. Let's talk about the proper diet for taking those kinds of medication, if in fact someone wants to do that.
So one of the things that those medications do is they do slow transit down through the stomach. So food stays in the stomach longer than it normally would. So smaller meals are better so that you minimize reflux and nausea. Obviously lower calorie diets are going to result in weight loss. Anything that's too extreme is hard to stick to long term, so it may not be the best for weight management. Fruits and vegetables, unprocessed foods, I usually tell people as naturally as you can eat it, the better. You want to do things that are organic when able. Those tend to be a little bit more expensive. And then the recommendation for activity is you want to do a minimum of 150 minutes a week of moderate to strenuous activity. That has different meanings for different people depending on what your activity level is currently when you start. But that's the recommended exercise criteria as far as minutes per week.
Let me ask you this, doctor. What happens if someone, is on Wegovy, they lose a bunch of weight, and then they go off of it? I know that there's some people that are concerned that once you go off of these weight loss medications, that the weight comes right back. Is that something that can happen, and maybe there's some more effective ways to keep it off?
Yeah, so anytime you do any lifestyle, including medication, changes for weight loss, it needs to be something that you can maintain. So, excuse me, if you come off of the drugs and you're not keeping up with the healthy habits that helped get you to that weight loss threshold that you met, then yeah, there is potential for weight regain. So you want to make sure that any changes that you do during the weight loss process are things that you can do long-term to maintain. Some people do need drugs long-term, so that is a possibility. These drugs are also meant that they can be continued for weight management. And so not just for weight loss, but for maintaining the weight that's been lost. So if it's, for some people, weight is very heavily genetic. And so if they've struggled with weight and everyone in their family has struggled with weight outside of diet and exercise changes, that if they already eat pretty healthy and they exercise pretty much the way that they're supposed to, but they still can't maintain a healthy weight, then they could be candidates for long-term medication therapy.
What else can we talk about with regards to this? I mean, we're smack dab in the holiday season. People tend to overindulge themselves, overeat, that sort of thing. And let's say January 1st comes around, they want to work out more, they want to eat healthy, they want to put off that weight. What's your best advice for so much of the population that just wants to do a little bit of that, maybe lose that excess, 10, 15 pounds?
The first thing I usually tell them is, why are you waiting? Why don't you go ahead? Don't wait till January 1st. Go ahead and start now. They don't have to be big changes. You don't have to throw out all the food in your pantry and start from scratch. Little bitty steps make a lot of progress long term. So increasing your steps from 5,000 a day to 7,500 a day. That's a small step that you can do, and you don't have to wait till January 1. Make it fun. Do things that you enjoy doing. If you do not like going to a gym, you're not going to stay going to a gym. So do things that you like, that fit into your life, that work for you.
Anything else you want to add, Dr. Daigle, before we let you go? This has been great. I appreciate you joining us here.
As with anything, talk to your physician, talk to people that know your medications, that know your specific case, because it needs to be decided on a case-by-case basis. These medications are not right for everybody.
Gotcha. Okay. Well, listen, Dr. Lee Daigle with Methodist Le Bonheur Healthcare, we really appreciate your help with all this, just kind of deciphering between fact and fiction. Thanks so very much. Happy holidays.
Thank you. You too.
1 in 4 adults grapple with mental illness, and that number goes from 1 to 3 adults if you just include the ages of 18 and 25. Treatment shockingly low, and more people are being linked to mental health disorders. They become more susceptible to substance abuse and vice versa. It is a painful web there that is constantly being woven each and every day, each and every month across this country. There is a new organization. It's called Live 3 999. It has emerged as a beacon of hope and a tribute to healing and a platform for change. I'm joined now by a couple of ladies here. Carmela Wallace. She is someone who founded Live 399, and Dr. Sherry Turner. She is the Chief Health Officer of Crisis Text Line. Ladies, good morning to you. I appreciate you joining us. First off, Carmela, tell me about founding this organization, Live 399, to honor your son Jared's memory. Good morning.
Yes, good morning. So I founded Live Free 999 to honor my son, Jared, also known as Juice WRLD, after his accidental overdose passing. So the point of the foundation is to normalize the conversation around mental health and substance dependency, to provide resources and support programs that provide outlets and positive ways of addressing mental health, and also to let those know that they are not alone and encourage them not to suffer in silence.
Dr. Turner, over to you. I want to talk about how Live 3 999 and the crisis text line aim to bridge the gap when it comes to treatment, especially among that window of adults ages 18 to 25, where mental health illness is shockingly high.
Right. We are in a youth mental health epidemic. So Crisis Text Line is really pleased to support Live Free 999 as we seek to decrease the stigma around mental illness and increase the awareness of Crisis Text Line as a resource, especially for youth between the ages of 18 and 25. We want to make sure that they know that Crisis Text Line is available for them. Crisis Text Line provides free 24/7 mental health support and crisis intervention solely on a text platform in English or in Spanish. So anyone can text LF999 to 741741 and receive support from a live volunteer crisis counselor who's supervised by a mental health professional. And we like to say a crisis to you is a crisis to us. That's how we bridge the gap, because we're available equally, our volunteers, for someone who's struggling with their homework, with a relationship, with substance use, all the way to the point of feeling like they're having suicidal ideations.
So, Carmela, back over to you. How important is it for young Americans to talk about their mental health? I mean, you founded Live 3999, and I'm sure you come across an extraordinary amount of people. And what are you seeing on the front lines, so to speak?
I'm seeing people are starting to have the conversation. I'm seeing that mental health is more than just a passing statement, mental health is health, but people are actually engaging and looking for ways to do something about the crisis, the epidemic that's going on right now. And I think partnering with the crisis text line allows us the opportunity to provide resources to some who may not have even had the resources to identify that, to help them through their struggles.
And Dr. Turner, over to you again. Let's talk about that crisis text line and the impact it has from your perspective. I mean, tell me what you see each and every day.
So young people are in need of assistance. Young people are dealing with depression and anxiety at rates that are far more than they were 10 years ago even. So what we want to provide is this confidential, anonymous support that they find helpful. And in fact, when we look at our surveys, 87% of our texters find that the conversation has been helpful, and 25% of them would not have anywhere else to turn. So they're finding that they're less stressed and less depressed and anxious at the end of those conversations. And we know we're reaching communities of color in particular, and LGBTQ+ communities.
So, ladies, we have thousands of people that watch us each and every morning here on the Digital Desk. Perhaps, and I open this up to both of you, perhaps someone is watching, maybe they have a family member, a loved one, a friend out there that's struggling right now. What's the best way to reach out and get help?
So I would encourage them not to suffer in silence. They could do a number of things. They could go to livefree999.org.
Or they can text LF999 to 741741, or find resources on our webpage, crisistextline.org.
Ladies, thank you so much for talking about this issue that's so prevalent and so important. Mental health, certainly top of mind for so many people out there. Thank you for all that you've done with Live Free 999 and the Crisis Text Line. We appreciate everything that you're doing. Thanks so very much. There is a study out there that says 57% of Americans have some sort of anxiety, or they lose sleep over thinking about their credit score. And we all know that a poor credit score can affect so many aspects of our life these days. It doesn't just mean, you can't get a certain credit card. I mean, we're talking about high interest rates, insurance premiums, the lower likelihood of getting hired for certain jobs, difficulty renting an apartment, and so much more. It's really a concern out there for so many people. They're losing sleep over it. They're affecting their well-being and health. And let's bring in a financial expert to talk more about this. Radhika Duggal is joining us here. Good morning. How are you?
Good morning. I'm doing well. Thank you. How are you?
I'm doing well. I'm not losing sleep. I feel like I got a good credit score, but the majority, it's amazing here. The majority of Americans, more than 50%, 57 in this study. Does that surprise you? Why do you think that number is so high, Radhika?
It absolutely surprises me. I have read quite a number of studies over the years around personal finance and credit, and this is the first time I have seen this problem framed as a mental health issue, and really, to your point, a mental health crisis. And what I really worry about, and what I believe drives this, is the fact that people don't have access to credit. And that's a problem that we at Super are laser focused on solving.
So tell me more about that. People don't have access or equity when it comes to credit and improving their credit scores. Tell me a little bit more. Let's dive in.
You know, it's difficult for an everyday American to simply get their foot into the door of the credit system. Our most recent research indicated that 66% of underserved Americans actually have been denied credit. Oftentimes, by the way, that denial came when they need it most, and what it leads to is feelings of extreme financial instability. So if you take feelings of instability, feelings of anxiety, suddenly we're talking about a mental health and an emotional problem rather than just a simple functional problem.
So, Radhika, how do we resolve this problem? Certainly, it looks like, based upon what I'm reading here in this study, it looks like there is a need for fair access to credit and equity building opportunities out there for underserved communities. How do we fix this?
The good news is that there are ways to fix this. Now, I'd offer three potential things to do. First, understand the system. Really understand what is a credit score, what drives a credit score. And there's so much literature online that's available to help us do so. The second is understand your own score. Check it frequently, understand what moves it in one direction or another. And the third is try new ways to build your credit. We at Super have just launched a product called Super Cash, and it is essentially a card that acts like a debit card, but has the benefits of a credit card. You do not need access, you do not need credit to actually build credit with this card. It comes with no monthly service fee, no credit check, no minimums. And the best part is, I mentioned before, it has the rewards of a credit card. It comes with up to 10% cash back every time you use the card. So there absolutely are solutions to solving this problem if you're trying to build your credit up from scratch.
Fascinating. So we've mentioned a couple of different aspects to this study. You know, 57% of Americans have anxiety or lose sleep over their credit score. What else really of note came out of this new research?
Yeah, there were a couple of things that were really important that came out. Now, first and foremost, 70% of consumers that took this survey said that they experienced financial instability when they were denied credit. 70%. And that same number, also 70%, said, hey, if I could just improve my credit score a little bit, they said a small increase in their credit score or more access to credit would actually enable them to better their lives significantly. What this report does is it really helps us to understand the problem at hand. And then now what we need to do as a community is band together. We need to start talking about this problem. The more we talk about it, the less anxiety as people we're going to feel. But then as business owners and folks working on this problem, we've got to band together to really put forth equitable solutions.
All right, so let's talk about options for those who are typically challenged here with having access to credit and building equity.
Yeah, so that primary option that I mentioned before is a great place to start. Super Cash is a way to get access to credit without having your credit checked. What that means is you don't have to have a high credit score to qualify for the product. With Super Cash, you can actually put a small amount of money on the card and use that money to build up credit. And unlike other cards like it, you do not have to put $500, $600 as a minimum. There are no minimums. You can put $10 or $20 on the card, and each time you use it at the end of the month, we report those transactions and your on-time payment to the credit bureaus so that you're able to build credit.
Okay, good stuff there. Radhika, where can we go for more information?
To learn more, visit super.com/cash.
All right, that does it for us here in the Action News 5 Digital Desk. Have yourself a wonderful Wednesday. We got Ariana Poindexter and Maggie McCauley standing by for Action News 5's midday report. They'll take you through the next hour with all the news and weather you need. And then we will be back here in the Action News 5 Digital Desk. Another edition starts bright and early at 7 o'clock. We'll see you